Hello everyone, I am Jack Ma. If you still have some savings, I suggest you immediately put down what you are doing and watch these 10 minutes intently. An unprecedented wealth reshuffle is quietly robbing your pockets. Don't think that money in the bank is the safest option. Your cash is going to rot like crazy. The asset-heavy schemes that used to make money hand over fist are now suicide. The rich have already run away. So why are ordinary people still foolishly taking the fall? This time, I won't mince words. I'll give you 3 zero-cost life. Saving escape routes that ordinary people understand them, and you'll be safe and able to turn things around. Don't. And your life's hard-earned money might not even make a sound. Ready? Let's begin. Many friends leave me messages online or meet me offline, and the first thing they always say is to complain, "Teacher Ma, it is so hard to do business now. The economic environment is terrible. Whether it is domestic or foreign, it feels like every industry is struggling. How can I preserve and maintain the value of the money I've worked so hard to save?" Whether you are currently working hard in Los Angeles or New York in North America, or running a small shop in Taipei, Kuala Lumpur, or Singapore in Asia, whether you are a confused young person in your 20s just entering the workforce, or a person in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, holding on to a lifetime of hard, preparing for a comfortable retirement. You all undoubtedly share one extremely strong and unified feeling. Money is getting harder and harder to earn, and it is becoming less and less valuable. Why? Because while the numbers on the balance sheet appear unchanged, perhaps even with a small amount of interest, when you go to the supermarket, pay rent, or face living expenses, you are horrified to discover that you've spent twice as much money, but bought half the items you intended to buy. Isn't that a devastating feeling? I am telling you all, in the past, ordinary people like us had an extremely stubborn old idea that once we made money, we should lock it in a safe or deposit it in a bank, thinking that this was the safest and most secure way. Do you think your money is safe sleeping soundly in the bank? In reality, printing presses around the world are running day and night. Where has all that massive amount of over-issued currency gone? It is like a pervasive, monstrous flood, frantically diluting your meager purchasing power globally. This is what I often say. Your cash is rapidly rotting in a tide of devaluation. It is like a stale bun. It looks perfectly round on the outside, but when you break it open, it is all moldy and rotten inside. Completely inedible. Your purchasing power is being mercilessly. The past 2 or 3 decades have been an era of global economic frenzy. What was making money like back then? It was like picking up money from a plaza overflowing with gold. Why was it so easy? Because it was an era of growth, a time of abundant opportunities. As long as you were bold enough to borrow money from a bank, acquire land, or open a large factory, or even just take over a few large storefronts on a street corner for wholesale, you could make a fortune. Many people who made their fortunes back then believed it was due to their exceptional intelligence and extraordinary abilities. But it wasn't because they were particularly brilliant. It was simply the prevailing tide of the era that propelled them to success. What was the business logic back then? It emphasized heavy assets, grandeur, and the sheer size of the operation. Whoever had the biggest operation and the most borrowed money got the biggest slice of the pie. But what about now? Comrades, everything has completely... All those old rules about living a life of luxury are now obsolete. We have now entered an extremely brutal cycle of zero-sum game, or even a shrinking game. What has the old model of rapid expansion through heavy assets become? It has become the most... Look at the bustling commercial streets around the world. Look at those once highly sought after prime locations. How many luxurious brick and mortar stores are now advertising for rent? How many once glorious multi-millionaire business owners are now suffocating under the weight of exorbitant rents and enormous labor costs, ultimately forced to line up and file for bankruptcy because the old methods no longer work. If an elephant loses its balance and falls heavily on the ice, it will not only be smashed to pieces, but it will also crush all the ants that blindly follow it. I've been practicing Tai Chi for many years. What does Tai Chi emphasize? It emphasizes the alternation of yin and yang, the balance of giving and taking, and the rhythm of inhalation and exhalation. Global economic development is like human breathing. It can't keep exhaling forever or expanding wildly forever. It must stop to inhale and contract at certain times. For the past 30 years, we've been desperately exhaling. But right now, the economic cycle is inhaling, contracting, shedding the excess fat of the past, and detoxifying. This is the law of Many people are complaining every day at this time, complaining about the bad economic environment and others stealing their business. I tell you, complaining is useless. When everyone else is fearful and complaining, that is when true masters are discovering new frontiers. Don't try to mask a strategic laziness with tactical diligence. Many people are now working 3 jobs a day to combat rising prices. Young people are working crazy overtime in their cubicles. And middle-aged people in their 40s and 50s are taking on extra work like crazy, ending up with health problems. And the result, they still can't stop their wealth from shrinking at an alarm. You are swimming against the tide of the major economic cycle. How can you expect to swim fast? Therefore, whether you are a young person looking to turn your life around, or a middle-aged or elderly person trying to preserve your retirement savings, your primary task right now is definitely not to fantasize about getting rich overnight, but to immediately open your eyes and understand the map of this global wealth transfer. How to protect the real money in your pocket from being plundered in the ruins of the collapsed old model. In this harsh winter, what are the wealthy quietly abandoning, and what bottomless pitfalls must ordinary people absolutely avoid? These are the crucial questions we'll discuss next. The weather has changed. It is raining, and we can no longer run around shirtless. We must learn to use an umbrella. In this era of great change, what pitfalls should we absolutely avoid? And how can ordinary people find the opportunities hidden in the cracks? No, let's talk about the most famous. Many people are single, mindedly focused on changing their fate, not wanting to work and suffer, or having some spare money they want to invest. What is the first thought that pops into their heads? I want to open a shop. I want to set up a factory. I want to buy a shop and collect rent. You are risking your entire family's lives and fortune to fill this hole. Do you know what the saddest thing in the world is? It is that the rich and powerful are desperately jumping out of this inferno, while ordinary people like us see it as a treasure trove and happily jump in. What is this called? It is called a cognitive inversion. You think you are buying at rock bottom prices, but actually they're robbing you. First, we need to understand the term, what are heavy assets? In plain terms, they are things that tie you down in one place, require you to continuously spend money every month, and that you can't escape even if you want to, if there is a risk. Examples include expensive street, front shops, huge factory buildings, renovations and equipment, costing hundreds of thousands, and a large number of employees who need to be paid every day. In the past few decades, when the economy was booming, heavy assets were a symbol of, if you open a 1000 square meter restaurant or set up a tens of thousands square meter OEM factory, banks would chase after you to lend you money. And customers would be willing to do business with you just because of your grand scale. Back then, big was good, and heavy assets meant stability. Let me break it down for you using the principles of Tai Chi. Tai Chi emphasizes using softness to overcome hardness. When an external storm hits, are you more likely to survive if you are flexible and agile, or if you are clumsy and stiff? The flexible person will definitely survive longer. Heavy assets are like a massive elephant. When food is plentiful on the grassland, the elephant walks with an imposing gait. But if a once-in-a-century blizzard hits, freezing all the grass, the elephant's enormous body, which requires a massive amount of energy every day, will not find food. Its body. In contrast, ants hiding in the soil and crevices require very little energy and can easily survive the harsh winter. Even more terrifying is that when an elephant is starving and struggling to turn around, its massive body crashes down, crushing all the blindly following. Oblivious ants around it to dust. Let's take a look at the bloody reality unfolding around the world. The first major pitfall, the transfer of ownership of shops and real estate that were once the anchors of wealth. In the past, whether it was Chinese in North America or friends from all over Asia, the belief was that a shop could support 3 generations. Many people worked hard for half their lives, and when they reached their 50s or 60s, they had saved millions or tens of millions of dollars in cash. They always felt uneasy about keeping it in the bank, so they insisted on buying a shop or a so-called investment property, thinking that collecting rent every month would make their lives secure. Wake up. Take a look at the United States right now. Look at those once prime commercial streets in New York and San Francisco. How many office buildings have reached record high vacancy rates? A large number of commercial real estate tycoons are frantically selling off their assets. And look at many major Asian cities. Shopping malls are closing down one after another. Why? Because the internet has completely restructured business logic, coupled with a global economic contraction. People don't have as much spare cash to spend on shopping. If you invest your life savings in buying a shop now, thinking you are getting a goose that lays golden eggs, you are actually buying a bottomless pit. You pay hefty property taxes, management fees, and maintenance costs every month, but you simply can't rent it out. Even if you do, the tenants' businesses falter and they run away after 3 months, leaving you with a mess of garbage and dilapidated renovations. In the end, this property not only fails to generate cash flow, but becomes a liability that continuously drains your lifeblood every month. You originally hoped to support 3 generations with 1 property, but instead, it's ruined 3 generations. The second major pitfall, high-end franchising and physical store openings are fraught with pitfalls. Many young people in their 20s and early 30s feel stifled at work, thinking their bosses are fools and that their talents are going to waste. So, on a whim, they quit and start their own business. How? They take the money they've saved from working for several years, borrow some from their parents, and scrape together several 100,000 yuan to franchise a trendy milk tea shop, a high-end coffee shop, or some seemingly prestigious restaurant brand. I paid 200,000 yuan in franchise fees, 300,000 yuan for renovations, and another 200,000 yuan for expensive equipment. Once the store opened, I felt like I was the boss. And every day, I would wear a suit and tie or an artsy apron and wait for customers to come in. And the result? Once the honeymoon period was over, there were more competitors than customers on the street. Every day when you open your eyes, even if you don't have a single customer, you still have to pay the landlord's rent, pay the salaries of 5 or 6 employees, and various utility bills and franchise management fees are like vampires staring at you. In order to attract customers, you can only run promotions on various food delivery platforms. And then, the platforms take a huge commission from you. You think you are starting a business. Let me tell you a brutally honest truth. You are not the boss at all. You are just a super employee who bears all the risks of failure and has no base salary. You are working for a greedy landlord, for a franchise brand that preys on you, and for a platform that takes exorbitant commissions. This is what I often lament and emphasize. Many people shouldn't use tactical diligence to mask strategic laziness. These young and middle-aged people running brick and mortar stores, aren't they diligent? They are extremely diligent. They work from dawn till dusk, going to buy goods before midnight, and still doing accounting in the middle of the night, exhausted and with aching backs. But it is useless. Your strategic direction was wrong. You chose the most cumbersome, asset-heavy model at the wrong time, the one most easily crushed by economic cycles. You are going against the current. You've exerted tremendous efforts, but in the end, you'll still be swept off the cliff by the flood. Comrades, big capital, and the wealthy possess an extremely strong information advantage and a very deep financial foundation. Once they sense that things are not going well, they will immediately cut off these heavy assets, sell the machinery, transfer the factory buildings at low prices, and even mortgage the shops to the bank in exchange for a continuous flow of cash and light. Asset equity, they have long since fled to safe havens. Our principal is already pitifully small, and our ability to withstand risks is almost zero. Once you are tied up in heavy assets, even a single month of cash flow disruption can instantly collapse your life. Your house will be foreclosed on. Your family will be plunged into endless arguments. your children will be forced to drop out of school, and your decades of savings will vanish overnight. Therefore, in this harsh winter, I have set an ironclad rule for all ordinary people around the world who want to preserve their wealth and find opportunities to turn their lives around. Hold on to your pockets tightly and resolutely and thoroughly. Stay away from all asset. Heavy models that require large initial investments and rely heavily on fixed offline locations. If we don't engage in heavy asset investment, how can we not only avoid losing money during an economic downturn, but also find that small but beautiful niche that allows us to turn the tide? This brings us to the first zero-cost escape route I want to point out. On this path, you don't need a large team or expensive office space. You only need to leverage the global internet infrastructure. One person can live like a multinational corporation. Has this guide to avoiding the pitfalls of heavy asset investment been a wake-up call? If these flawed mindsets aren't shattered, you won't be able to absorb the valuable insights that follow. If you are ready for a cognitive upheaval, we've completely stripped away the veneer of heavy asset investment. I've seen many people break out in a cold sweat, especially those who are planning to use hundreds of thousands of yuan of their savings to open a noodle shop or a franchise. You should be glad you read this analysis. Otherwise, your hard-earned money would have gone to waste. If elephants can starve or fall to their deaths in this harsh winter, how are ordinary people supposed to survive? How can we, like ants, not only weather blizzards, but also find gold mines in the cracks? Now, I'll present you with the first absolutely feasible way out. Take advantage of borderless digital leverage and become a super individual that transcends major economic cycles. What is a super individual? Many people, upon hearing this term, immediately picture superheroes from Hollywood blockbusters. I utterly despise those who overcomplicate business concepts. Let me tell you in the simplest terms, a super individual is someone who, without renting a luxury office, without employing a bunch of people to pay daily wages, without a warehouse full of goods that could rot at any moment, and with just an internet connection, a computer, or a mobile phone, can directly sell their value, their skills. Think about it carefully. How did businesses compete over the past few decades? It was about who had the biggest factory, the most employees, and the most advanced equipment. But in this era of major reshuffling, believe it or not, right now, a young person in a remote town who understands a bit about platform operation rules can generate more net profit than a traditional foreign trade company that rents half a floor office space in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, or Manhattan, New York, and employs hundreds of people. And he has no risk of going bankrupt. Why? Because he understood how to use leverage. Archimedes said, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." For ordinary people like us today, let me break it down for you how to actually implement this zero-cost micro. Entrepreneurship step 1, break free from geographical constraints and leverage information and cultural differences to do global business. Many people think that they can't make money because their small city is bad, or because the people around them are too poor. Your thinking is stuck in the agricultural era. You've locked yourself in a geographical prison within a 10-kilometer radius. The world is flat. What you take for granted, or even consider worthless in your local area, is a scarce resource that can be devastatingly valuable on the other side of the world. For example, imagine you are a man in your 50s who has spent most of your life studying Tai Chi philosophy, or you are intimately familiar with the traditional Chinese medicine, wisdom, and wealth management principles of Ni Hai Xia. If you only talk about these things with your neighbors in the park of your neighborhood, at most 10 old men and women will listen to your boasting, and you won't earn a single penny. But what if you filmed this wisdom into videos, created in-depth explanations, and uploaded them to a global internet platform? They would become young and middle-aged adults, aged 25 to 50, struggling in North America and Europe, facing immense workplace pressure and yearning to preserve their wealth. They would become older men and women aged 45 to 70, residing in Taiwan and Southeast Asia, with savings but feeling anxious, seeking self-cultivation and a deeper understanding of business principles. Without leaving your home, your content transcends 4 oceans. You don't need to spend a penny on international airfare or register a company overseas. You can precisely target the minds of these high-value individuals, building transnational trust assets. This is called borderless information arbitrage. What you are providing isn't just simple videos, but a remedy for their anxiety. Step 2. Embrace AI digital tools to completely eliminate all human costs. Many people would say, Mr. Ma, you make it sound so easy, creating content, making videos, and doing international business. Don't you need a team? I can't write copy, I can't design, and I can't afford a professional team. This is the second revolutionary truth I want to tell you. The times have given us the greatest tools, yet you are still using a hoe to farm. The ongoing AI revolution is the most powerful weapon tailor-made for ordinary people like us. In the past, if you wanted to embellish your global channel with a stunning cover, for example, a traditional Chinese ink painting illustration with a 16:9 aspect ratio, cinematic lighting effects, and a strong sense of Eastern aesthetics, you'd have to travel to top-tier illustrators in major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, spend tens of thousands of yuan, wait for over half a month, and undergo repeated revisions. That was a capital-intensive and labor-intensive endeavor. However, nowadays, as long as you are willing to spend some time learning and mastering those advanced AI image generation and text processing tools, you only need to input a few precise commands, and the computer can generate top-notch Chinese-style masterpieces that surpass the level of 99% of artists on the market within seconds. What does this mean? It means that you, all by yourself, have a top-notch copywriting department, a Hollywood-level visual arts department, and a translation department fluent in multiple languages. You've reduced the annual human resource costs that would normally be hundreds of thousands or even millions to virtually zero. You produce viral content that hits the audience's pain points frequently at extremely low or even zero cost. You understand how to analyze platform search patterns and optimize keywords that audiences care about most, such as avoiding pitfalls, making money, and preserving wealth. To the extreme, all your trial and error costs are infinitesimally close to zero. No one watches a video, no problem. You don't lose a penny. Adjust the title and cover, change your approach, and keep going. This is the principle of using minimal force to overcome great strength, which I have repeatedly emphasized. When you completely abandon the heavy asset obsession of renting stores and hiring employees, and when you put all your energy into honing your own mind to produce value that transcends national borders and touches people's hearts, you have already escaped that meat grinder where everyone tramples on each other. In this cruel winter, you have put on an invulnerable bulletproof vest for yourself. Comrades, the winds are blowing strong. Stop staring at the few cents on the ground. Look up at the sky. Arm yourselves with digital tools to the teeth and go make money all over the world. Did everyone understand the logic? This is truly practical Tai Chi business philosophy. If you found it interesting, we'll delve deeper. Next, I am going to share an even more revolutionary insight. Why, in the future, would serving 500 loyal fans be far more profitable than having 50,000 casual customers? We've discussed how to use borderless digital tools to cut costs to zero, transforming yourself into a flexible, super individual. Okay, now that you have this incredibly powerful weapon, the next question is, what are you going to do with it? Once many people get their hands on the internet as leverage, their inherent greed and outdated thinking immediately surface. They're still thinking, I want to build a huge platform. I want to be number one on the entire internet. I want everyone in the world to buy my services. I am telling you all, nip this extremely dangerous idea. In the past era of frenzied expansion, everyone was competing for traffic and scale. Wanting to grow big was understandable. But in this current cycle of harsh winter and major reshuffling, if ordinary people still pursue being big and comprehensive, blindly expanding and grabbing massive users, it is like stripping themselves naked and throwing them into a blizzard. They'll definitely freeze to death. Therefore, the second absolutely reliable way out, I am pointing out, is to completely turn around, dig out your hidden assets, and do small but beautiful businesses based on trust within your social circle. Do you believe it? In the future, the most valuable thing, think about it carefully. What is the global business environment? Like right now, it is an extreme surplus of goods and an explosion of information. Open your phone and you are bombarded with countless ads, fake news, and schemes designed to fleece you. What do ordinary people lack most right now? It is not the inability to buy things, but rather the inability to know who to trust. In this environment of extreme insecurity, the traditional business model of selling cheap goods to millions of strangers by spending heavily on advertising has become completely ineffective. When the environment contracts, those casual customers with whom you have absolutely no trust will instantly clutch their wallets and disappear without a trace. So where exactly is the breakthrough? It lies in 4 words: trust within social circles. Tai Chi has a profound mental technique called gathering Qi and concentrating spirit. If you distribute your power throughout your body, your punches will be weak and feeble. But if you concentrate all your energy and blood on one point, you can use. The same applies to business. Don't covet tens or hundreds of thousands of casual acquaintances. Just focus on a small group of people and provide them with exceptional service. That is enough to make you incredibly wealthy, even in this harsh winter. This is the ironclad rule I want to emphasize to everyone. Serving 500 loyal fans well is 10,000 times better than having 50,000 onlookers passing by your door. Let me share a very practical and down-to-earth logic with you. Whether you are currently in New York's Chinatown, an office building in Taipei, or a Chinese community in Southeast Asia, don't try to do business with everyone. Examine yourself. Do you have any special experience? Do you have any highly specialized expertise? For example, you have a deep understanding of traditional Tai Chi philosophy and the profound wisdom contained in the teachings of Nai Xia. You are extremely adept at maintaining composure in volatile environments and understanding the patterns of wealth fluctuations. You can leverage the digital tools we've discussed to precisely target individuals aged 45 to 70 globally. This group has accumulated a significant portion of their life savings, and they are currently extremely anxious, fearing they might fall into investment traps or that inflation will erode their retirement funds. You don't need to pander to all the young people on the internet. You just need to share your wisdom with these experienced older brothers and sisters who have their own pain points, using the most sincere and straightforward language to help them see through the fog and avoid the traps of exploitation in the market. Alternatively, you could target young and middle-aged adults aged 25 to 50 worldwide who are experiencing intense competition in the workplace and are desperately eager to break through class barriers. You could share your hard-earned lessons from your own experiences and your strategies for starting a side hustle at extremely low cost with them without reservation. You might start with only 10 listeners, then grow to 100, and eventually to 500. But these 500 people are your most loyal and devoted followers. When your intangible assets, your reliability, your professionalism, and your selflessness are firmly established within this small circle, miracles will happen. In this small, beautiful community, that is all yours. You no longer need to spend exorbitant amounts on advertising to acquire customers. Nor do you need to engage in brutal price wars with big corporations. Because these 500 people trust you. They'll buy a good book you recommend. They'll pay to attend an in-depth online seminar you host. They'll line up to consult you about a guide to avoiding pitfalls you organize. Why? Because in that cold world outside, full of deceit and trickery, your place is the only safe haven where they can feel safe and receive real value. This is the nuclear weapon, level power of hidden assets. Big capital can spend tens of millions to buy traffic overnight. But they can never buy the unreserved trust of dozens or hundreds of people in a short period of time. When large enterprises go bankrupt due to huge expenses, your small and beautiful community business with only you not only has no debt, but will also become more and more prosperous, because the worse the environment is, the more people need to stick together for warmth. Comrades, stop feeling ashamed of the future belongs to those who are rooted in the soil, deeply embedded in a small circle, providing ultimate value to a select few. Put aside your ambitions and bring out your sincerity. Use your intangible assets to build a solid moat that no one can take away, a moat that no storm can topple. Did everyone understand this second escape route? Hidden assets and trust within your social circles are your trump cards for survival in this global reshuffle. Next, we'll discuss the most disruptive move, how to leverage the development differences across regions to achieve an effortless, disruptive victory. Are you ready for a cognitive storm? Let's begin. We've already discussed two fallback options. One is leveraging digital technology to become a borderless super individual, and the other is cultivating trust within specific circles to build a small but beautiful community. These two paths can already save countless ordinary people who are about to pour money into heavy asset investments to fill the hole. But here I am going to teach you a more advanced, disruptive, and also the most profitable strategy. Our third zero, cost fallback. Wall Street investment bankers in their suits and ties have a particular fondness for inventing complicated jargon that only they understand to fool the general public. What is arbitrage? I utterly despise this kind of pretentious terminology. Let me translate it for you in the simplest, most down-to-earth language. Arbitrage is like riding a time machine, taking something that is already saturated and overexploited in one place, and taking it to another place that is just starting out and desperately seeking opportunities to exploit it. Many people have an extremely narrow mind in this conception, always thinking, oh dear, the current economic climate is so bad. It is hard to make money anywhere on earth. Everyone is struggling. What can I do? I am telling you, the world is physically flat, but in terms of business development and cognitive stages, it is severely folded. There are significant time differences in the economic cycles and information access speeds of people from different countries, regions, and even age groups. What is a bloodbath in one place? Ordinary people like us don't need large multinational capital or to buy land and build factories overseas. All you need is a broad international perspective to find the gaps in this complex world. And you can make money out of thin air. The first gap, bridging the time gap in regional development. Look at the past few years. How fierce has the competition become in the Asian market, especially in the Chinese business community, with e-commerce, short videos, and new retail. It has been an extreme competition where every pore of profit has been squeezed dry. Many people doing e-commerce and content operations in China and the Asian region feel extremely miserable and can't make money. But believe it or not, if you simply transfer the skills you've honed on this brutal battlefield, your understanding of short video algorithms, and your ability to efficiently manage the supply chain to North America, Europe, or certain lower-tier markets in Southeast Asia, that would be a pure game changer. North America has many very traditional white small business owners or older generations of overseas Chinese who have excellent products and high-quality local supply chains. But their marketing methods are still limited to distributing flyers and traditional offline sales. They drew over online traffic but have no idea how to leverage these trendy digital tools. This is where your opportunity comes in. You don't need to manufacture the products yourself. You simply need to use your exceptional knowledge and skilled operational abilities to connect with their extremely outdated needs. You help them sell their high-quality local products through the latest online channels. In this process, you don't need to invest capital, hold inventory, or open a physical store. You profit from the knowledge and time differences created by the geographical distance. This is the perfect example of zero-cost micro-entrepreneurship. This is the biggest gold mine. I want to especially say a few heartfelt words to those older brothers and sisters in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s and 70s. Many people at this age, at this juncture of major economic reshuffling, feel extremely panicked. They feel they can't compete with younger people physically, can't out-computerize those born in the 2000s, are rejected by employers for being too old, and are afraid of losing everything. If they open a physical store, has all of your life been wasted? Are you destined to stay home taking care of your grandchildren? You possess a super gold mine that most young people desperately crave. Your survival wisdom accumulated over the years and your industry experience. Look at the world right now. What kind of state are young people in their 20s and early 30s in extreme anxiety, extreme confusion? They graduated right at the start of a global economic downturn, facing immense workplace pressure and the fear of their wealth shrinking. The textbook knowledge taught in school simply doesn't teach them how to survive in a cruel society, or how to avoid pitfalls in this financial market rife with scams. At this moment, what do young people need most? What they need most is not a bowl of toxic chicken soup, but a veteran who has truly weathered storms, survived the 1997 Asian financial crisis and the 2008 subprime mortgage crisis, and survived countless major reshuffles to point them in the right direction. This is what Tai Chi calls using the opponent's force against them. Brothers and sisters, don't try to compete with younger people in terms of physical strength or all. Nighters, what you need to compete in is composure and experience. If you've spent half your life navigating the business world, and you've seen through the greed and fear of human nature, if you are well versed in traditional Chinese business philosophy and understand how to overcome strength with gentleness, even if you are just an experienced accountant who knows how to keep accounts safely, or even if you are simply proficient in the traditional wisdom left by Mr. Nihai Xia, which combines self-cultivation and moral refinement. These seemingly ordinary old experiences are like you can use the internet to package your decades of hard-earned lessons, pitfall avoidance guides, and wealth protection experiences into digital content, consulting services, or online communities. From your home in Taiwan, New York, or Kuala Lumpur, sipping tea, you can sell these experiences to confused young people around the world via an internet connection. You teach them how to see through the complexities of the economy, how to manage their savings using the principles of Tai Chi, and how to maintain inner peace and physical health in extremely harsh environments. Young people pay a very low cost to gain extremely valuable tips on avoiding pitfalls, thus avoiding the risk of blindly trying and making mistakes with tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. While you, without any physical investment, simply by sharing your past experiences, gain a continuous stream of financial rewards and a great sense of spiritual accomplishment. This is cross-generational experience arbitrage. In this trade, there are no losers, only winners. Comrades, do you understand? The harsh winter of major reshuffling is actually a unique ticket issued by God to all those with cross-disciplinary thinking and veteran wisdom. Stop focusing solely on the street in front of your house, and stop complaining about how competitive your industry is. Think bigger. Open your global perspective. Look for gaps in information asymmetry, and identify those desperately needed demands. Use your understanding to outmaneuver those competitors still relying on brute force. This third escape route, cognitive arbitrage and experience. Arbitrage, dodge, the first three escape routes are all tactical operations. However, in the end, business is not about skills, but about mindset and philosophy. Next, I will teach you the Tai Chi business philosophy that I value highly. I've already explained to you 3 zero-cost escape routes that ordinary people can use to survive and even turn the tide during this major reshuffling period. These are tactical strategies, extremely practical weapons. However, after practicing Tai Chi for so many years, I understand one principle all too well. If you are given a peerless sword, but your internal strength and mental techniques are not good, and your mind is chaotic, you will not only fail to kill your enemy, but you will also cut yourself. In the end, business is not about who has the most fancy skills, but about who has the most character and the most fundamental philosophy. In this harsh winter, take a look at the people around you. Whether in North America, Europe, or various cities in Asia, the vast majority of people are trapped in an extremely dangerous psychological state, which I call the gambler's mentality of a drowning person. When the economic environment contracts, making money becomes harder, and assets shrink, causing many people to panic. They are like people who have fallen into a swamp. The more afraid they are of sinking, the more desperately they wave their arms and struggle. Some people, seeing that their investment products have lost money, immediately borrow money at high interest rates in an attempt to buy stocks at rock bottom prices and recoup their losses. Others, after losing their jobs, rush to open a franchise of a milk tea shop they know nothing about, hoping to prove they can still succeed, all for the sake of saving face. I am issuing this extremely serious warning to everyone. In the swamp of the economic cycle, the more blindly you struggle, the faster you will perish. The more desperately you try to make money, the more thoroughly you will lose it. Why? Because your actions have become your greed and fear have completely blinded you, and you have lost your most basic sense of danger. Every decision you make at this moment is almost a suicide mission against the tide of events. So, how exactly should ordinary people cultivate their own mental discipline? I am sharing with you without reservation. The Tai Chi business philosophy I've gleaned from decades of navigating the cutthroat world of business. It boils down to 3 words: gather, transform. Have you ever watched a Tai Chi master perform? Before unleashing an extremely powerful punch, what must he do first? He must first retract his fist and sink his qi into his dantian. If you don't retract it, it is extremely strict cash flow management and cutting off all businesses and heavy assets that are continuously bleeding money. Many people have an extremely foolish sunk cost mentality. For example, a man spent millions to open a large restaurant years ago. Now the economic climate has changed, and the restaurant is losing money every month, unable to even pay its employees' salaries. But he is unwilling to accept this. He feels that he invested so much money, renovated it so luxuriously, and if he closes down now, wouldn't it all be for nothing? So, he mortgages his house, maxes out his credit cards, and keeps pouring money into this bottomless pit, fantasizing that one day the business will miraculously recover. This is the most typical example of courting death. Let me tell you, in this cycle of zero-sum game, cash is your... If a project, a store, or an investment is clearly in a downward trend and is continuously consuming your cash flow, don't take any chances. Cut it off immediately without hesitation. Even if closing down now would result in a loss of 500,000, it is still 10,000 times better than stubbornly holding on and ending up bankrupt and 5 million in debt. The essence of taking a step back is acknowledging reality and realizing that retreat opens up new possibilities. Pull back your fists, cut those bloated businesses, and keep cash. With cash in hand, you won't panic. With ample oxygen, you can weather this long, harsh winter until spring arrives. The second key, learn to be flexible and adaptable, like a small boat that can turn around at any time. In Tai Chi, there is a technique. When an extremely fierce force comes at you, never try to meet it head on with your chest. If you do, you'll definitely be struck and vomit blood. Instead, you should turn around and neutralize the force by following its momentum. Traditional business thinking emphasizes strength, expansion, and building a vast business empire. This is like an aircraft carrier, impressive to look at. But its biggest weakness is its slow turning speed. When a violent hurricane suddenly hits the sea, completely changing the direction, the aircraft carrier needs enormous space and a very long time to turn around. As ordinary people, we should never try to emulate the cumbersome structures of large corporations. What should we learn? We should learn from those micro-entrepreneurs who survive in the cracks and build an extremely light and agile little space. That is why I repeatedly emphasize leveraging digital tools to build zero-cost community commerce. Because only when you are free from the heavy burden of physical stores and the pressure of paying hundreds of employees' salaries can you truly be flexible. When external trends shift, a platform changes its rules, or the audience's tastes change. Large companies can spend 3 months in meetings discussing countermeasures. By the time they reach a conclusion, it is too late. But what about you? You are a one-man army. If you keenly perceive a new demand gap one night, you can adjust your content strategy and service direction that very night. And the next day, you can set sail directly to seize the new opportunity. This is the highest realm of transformation, maintaining extreme flexibility in the face of an extremely uncertain environment. Not bound by any fixed form, it permeates wherever there is a gap, like water. It uses no moves to defeat moves, using extreme softness to restrain the fierce power of the grand cycle. The third tip, know how to find an opening. After yielding and neutralizing, The ultimate goal is to find the enemy's weakest point and then unleash a thunderous strike. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, famously said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." The core of this statement is entirely consistent with the principles of Tai Chi. At this juncture, the vast majority of people are gripped by fear. Big capital is withdrawing. Traditional businesses are shrinking, and ordinary people are. A pessimistic mood pervades the entire market. But comrades, within immense pessimism lies a hidden, astonishing opportunity. When all the giants retreat, they inevitably create vast territories. Those marginal markets overlooked by the giants. Those niche circles neglected by traditional enterprises. Those cross-industry demands newly arising from new technologies. These are the openings and opportunities that fate has left for us, ordinary people. Once you've secured your principal through rigorous investment strategies, and once you've found that precise niche through flexible approaches, for example, discovering a blue ocean market connecting young people worldwide with experienced professionals, then you absolutely cannot hesitate. You must concentrate all your energy, all your hidden assets, and all your digital leverage, like a Tai Chi master, focusing your energy and spirit, and smash it down hard on this extremely specific pain point. Spare no effort to output value and establish your absolute authority and trust within this tiny circle. That is what it means to make a fortune. You don't need to bloom everywhere. You just need to use your extreme focus and altruistic heart to pry open a gold mine that belongs to you. In this tiny crack, this Tai Chi business philosophy. Receiving, neutralizing, and issuing. It can pour cold water on you when you are hot-headed and ready to gamble recklessly. It can also point you in the right direction when you are desperate and lost. This survival guide has reached its final and most crucial stage. The final pull. Why do some people scheme and plot only to end up bankrupt, while others seem to suffer losses? Yet wealth comes knocking at their door. The greatest wealth is altruism. Awaken the tiger within you. This long, in-depth business analysis has reached its crucial finale. I know that the preceding content was incredibly information, rich and extremely mind-blowing. Many people might have felt excited after listening, but after a night's sleep, they'd forget everything and go back to their old ways of making things difficult. So here, I am going to repeat what I used to do on the Rural Teachers platform. Banging on the blackboard, using the most concise and plain language to reiterate the core message of this video one last time. You must listen carefully, never step into these investment pitfalls. And first and foremost, remember the global reshuffling trend. The era of easy money, buying a house blindly and opening a large store to make a fortune is completely over. The purchasing power of your cash is being drastically diluted. At this time, the most fatal mistake you can make is using your life savings to buy heavy assets. Whether it is buying expensive shops in prime commercial areas or opening some high-end franchise store. It is all part of the meat grinder left behind. When an elephant falls, the rich are frantically fleeing. Don't be a fool and jump in to become cannon fodder. So how should ordinary people live? How can they turn adversity into opportunity? You need to memorize these 3 zero-cost life saving escape routes. First, leverage the global internet to become a borderless super individual. Arm yourself with digital tools like AI to completely cut labor and rent costs to zero. Secondly, abandon the greed of pursuing a large and comprehensive approach, and instead focus on cultivating a small but exquisite community. In this era of extreme distrust, find your own circle, serving 500 loyal fans who deeply trust you, and building intangible assets with your reliability and professionalism. Is far more profitable and stable than having 50,000 casual acquaintances. Third, leverage the folds in global development stages. Don't think that being 50 or 60 means you are old and useless. The survival wisdom you've gained through long cycles and the experience of avoiding pitfalls acquired with money are invaluable to young people around the world who are currently feeling lost. Take the red ocean experience here and use it to dominate the blue ocean elsewhere. Finally, no matter what storms you encounter, always keep in mind the 3 words of the Tai Chi business philosophy. Harvest, transform, and develop. Cutting off the cancer of losses is called harvest. Maintaining the flexibility of a light asset base is called transform. And seizing the opportunity to strike decisively is called develop. Okay, I've shared all my survival and turnaround techniques with you without reservation. Next, I am going to talk about the core of this video, which is also the ultimate wealth secret that I, Jack Ma, have believed in for most of my life. Many people spend all their time thinking about how to make money. Their eyes glued to cash, but the more they try to make money, the more they lose, eventually even going bankrupt. Why? Because they simply don't understand the true nature. I am telling you all, money isn't something you can just snatch by staring at it. What is money? Money is a social reward for solving social problems and helping others create value. It is the thank you notes that ordinary people send you. That is called altruistic thinking. In this world, the greatest wealth is actually helping others succeed. Do you believe it? When your mind is filled with thoughts of how to help these people, how to help them avoid pitfalls, and how to help them protect their hard-earned money, your business perspective instantly expands. Your content, your product. When you truly help others resolve their financial anxieties and avoid the abyss of bankruptcy, money will simply be a bonus. It will come knocking on your door. To all my friends who are working hard around the world, whether you are young Chinese in North America or brothers and sisters in various parts of Asia, I hope you can ingrain this altruistic mind. Only by helping others succeed can you ultimately achieve true success. At this point, I'd like to ask for your help, which is actually also helping yourselves. If you find my plain-sounding words, spoken by Jack Ma, even slightly touching, and if you think this survival guide is truly valuable, please immediately share this video with the young people around you. Those struggling on the verge of starting a business, or those relatives and friends who are confused about their finances and are preparing to blindly open a shop with their retirement savings. You must understand that what you are forwarding right now is not just an ordinary video, but an extremely valuable and life-changing insight. If one of your good friends suddenly gasps in shock after seeing your forwarding, avoiding a financially devastating trap, if a confused young person seizes the opportunity of zero-cost micro entrepreneurship, and rediscovers their direction in life because of you. What is this called? This is doing the greatest good. You are accumulating immense blessings and an unbreakable network of business connections for yourself. If you agree with my views, if the tiger within you, yearning for excellence, has been fully awakened, please take a moment to like this video channel and follow us. Every like and follow you make. We aim to gather the world's most ambitious and resilient individuals on this channel. Finally, I desperately want to hear your honest voices. Please leave your most genuine entrepreneurial insights or your aspirations for the future in the comments section. Whether it is the painful lessons you've learned or the niche you are planning to explore next, write it all down. Let's create a vibrant and inspiring community in the comments section, filled with a spirit of striving, mutual discussion, and positive empowerment. Every sincere comment you make, the blizzard of winter will eventually pass. Hold on to your principles, and perseverance is everything. Believe in the power of belief. See you next time.